Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, Cooking for the Family. I'm Devon and today I'm going to share with you how I make my chicken stew. And I'm going to do a creamy chicken stew. The ingredients are really basic and simple, and I love my recipe that I'm using and sharing with you today because you can make it however you please. You can make it very, very versatile to your taste and to your liking. So are you ready? Let's get started. So first what I'm doing is I'm going to chop up an onion. I'm using a half of an onion, and actually this is a pretty large onion, so I probably won't use all of it. You're looking for about 3/4 a cup to 1 cup of chopped onion. Now with your onion, you want to use either a white onion or a brown onion. And those are the two types of onions that you want to use. And those are the onions you usually always want to use anytime that you are making a soup or a stew. Those onions will typically work best in like a soup or a stew or those types of dishes, okay? And so like I said, I had a little extra onion. So I'm going to put this to the side because I'm probably going to use this extra onion to make me some broccoli cheddar soup. And if you haven't seen my broccoli cheddar soup, my Panera bread broccoli cheddar soup, my copycat recipe, I'll go on and link it in the description box below. But I'm going to save that rest of that onion for that recipe. And next what we're going to do is we're going to use some carrots, and we're also going to use some celery. Now I've washed my hands so that way they're not sticky. You know, sometimes onions can make your hands a little sticky at times. I'm just wiping off my countertop right there so I can prepare to chop up my next veggies. Now also guys, if you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you're a returner, welcome back. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel yet, what are you waiting for? Go on and hit that subscribe button. It's free and it helps the channel out tremendously. And if you like this video, hey, show it some love and give it a thumbs up. So now when I'm chopping up my carrots, and I always like to use fresh carrots, but if you are on a time crunch, you can always get the frozen carrots, but the fresh carrots and using those fresh veggies when you're making your soups and your stews really adds to the flavor of your recipe, okay? And so that was about a half a cup that I'm doing of the chopped carrots. Now you can do as much as 3/4 a cup, and if you really like a lot of carrots, you can go on and bump that up to 1 cup. But fear not guys, because in the description box below I'm going to have a list of all the ingredients that we are using to put together our creamy chicken stew. Now I'm also using some fresh celery, and also with the celery you want to chop your celery up about the size of a nickel, but no smaller than the size of a dime, because with soups you usually want to do smaller, but with stews are chunkier, right guys? And so with my stew, I'm going to make the pieces just a little bit bigger when I'm chopping them up. Now for the potatoes, excuse me guys, so for the potatoes, we're using a Yukon Gold potatoes. So a Yukon Gold potato is gonna make a better soup and a better stew because it's not gonna break down on you like a russet potato typically will. Those are more for baking. And so using a Yukon Gold potatoes, and I'll leave the skin on, but if you'd like, you can go on and take the skin off. But using a Yukon Gold potato, or sometimes they're called new potatoes or white potatoes, they will hold up better and they don't tend to break down in your soup or in your stew. And so those are the ones that I usually typically like to use, and so that's what I'm using today. And with our potatoes, again, I'm cutting them up kind of chunky, and I'm gonna cut up about 4 to 5 cups of those potatoes. And so I've cut up about 4 to 5 cups. Now we're also going to use some flat leaf parsley, and also flat leaf parsley can sometimes be referred to Italian parsley. Now if you can't find that in the store, you can always use the curly parsley. That'll work fine as well. And we're going to use about 3 tablespoons of some fresh parsley. Now if you don't have fresh parsley, you can always use the dried parsley, and you only need about 2 tablespoons of that. Okay, and so once I've got my hands all nice and washed up, we're going to go on and move on to our next step and start building our stew. So in my pot, I'm putting some olive oil, and I've put about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of olive oil. And I like using olive oil because it's just going to add flavor to our stew, and it's not going to make any extra oil or anything like that in our stew. And so next I'm putting in my veggies, and I'm putting in the celery and the carrots, and I want to give that a head start before I add in my onion, because the onion will not take too long to saute, and we just want to saute our veggies as well as our onions once we put them in there, just till they're just about soft. Okay, this also, sauteing your veggies in your soups and in your stews, helps to release all that natural flavor, all that great goodness that those veggies can give and add to our dish. Okay, so once I have that, and I've went on and I've sauteed them, and I've kind of softened them up a bit, we're going to go on now and add in our onion. And that was about 3/4 to about a cup of onion that we're using. And it won't take long to saute at all, the onions, and get them nice and soft. Also, guys, you want to be mindful that you want your pot about a medium to a medium low heat. You don't want it too high, because the onions can go from just being nice and soft to kind of just over soft and a little bit of brown around the edges, and you don't want that. Okay, and so now I'm putting in some chicken stock, and you can use either chicken stock or either chicken broth, and I'm going to use 2 of the cartons of chicken stock or either chicken broth, and so I'm putting that in right into our pot right there. Now also, guys, something to note is that if you don't have any chicken stock or chicken broth, but you have some bouillon, you can go in and make your own chicken broth from just using the bouillon and following those directions on the back, and it'll show you how to go in and make some real quick in a snap. Okay, and so once I've done that, and also, if you want to make this low sodium, you can use low sodium chicken broth or low sodium chicken stock as well if you like. Now I'm putting in my chicken thighs, and I like to use chicken thighs in this recipe, and that's boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And I had 5 boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I've cut up into nice bite-sized pieces, and they're about the size of like a quarter or so. Now, if you like, you can also use chicken breast. If you don't want to use chicken thighs, you can use either one. It's your choice. And so I've gone on and I put that in right into my pot. I'm going to give it a stir, and now we're going to put the top on our pot, and we're going to bring this up to a boil. I am going to add a little bit of seasoning first, and that's about a teaspoon of kosher salt, and I put in also about a half a teaspoon of black pepper. Now, while our stew is coming to a boil, we're going to start working on our thickening agent. And it is so simple. All we're going to use is 1 stick of butter, and that is super soft butter. You don't want to melt it though, so it's not melted butter, but very, very soft butter. And you can use salted or either unsalted butter, and that's 1 stick. To that, we're going to add some all-purpose flour, and that was actually a half a cup of all-purpose flour. And so you want to always do equal parts of your butter to your flour. Okay, so 1 stick of butter is also a half a cup of butter, and I'm using that half a cup of all-purpose flour. The butter is so soft that when I put my spoon in, did you see that? When I put my spoon in, it just went on, and just with no resistance. It was just really easy, super soft. And you see what I'm doing here in my bowl? What you want to do is you want to go on and blend in that flour to your butter. You see how I'm blending and I'm pressing? I'm going to move around my bowl, and I'm making that nice paste, like a nice butter paste that we are going to add to our stew. And this is what you want to do, guys. Anytime that you want to thicken up your soup or you want to thicken up your stew, and you see that paste that I've made, that nice buttery paste that I've made with that butter and that flour, that's all it took. And we are going to add this, and I went around the bowl, and I wanted to make sure that I had all that nicely blended. Now it's going to be time for us to go in and add in our potatoes. So I'm adding in the potatoes, and I may not use all my potatoes, but I've cut up about 4 to 5 cups of potatoes. And so you want to use as much or as little potatoes as you like. I like to use at least 4 cups and sometimes go up to 5 cups. Now, if you want to have less potatoes and you just want to have more of your protein, more of your chicken in there, or more of your veggies in there, you can go on and do that as well. Recipe is very versatile and you can just make it to your liking. This is a really great base recipe. That's why I just love using it all the time. And you see that? Nice chunks in there. Now, if you didn't want to add a thickening agent to your soup or to your stew, you could just eat it just like that, because once these potatoes boil and they are nice and tender, they're good to go. The soup is good to go. But we're going to do a little extra, y'all, because, you know, we got to be a little extra. And so I added in some peas. I like to add in some peas. And those peas will only take about 5 minutes to actually cook through. And I'm adding in now our thickening agent. And I'm adding in nice big spoonfuls at a time, and I'm going to just gently blend it all around. Now, because my stew is nice and hot, my pot is nice and hot, it will melt and it will dissolve the butter and flour mixture. But guys, keep in mind, do not worry, your pot, your stew will not have a flour, a raw taste to it. It will not have that taste at all. That nice hot pot with that flour and with that butter will just cook it all the way through, and it will just thicken it up. And you see how it starts to change color a bit, and the soup really starts to thicken up and it becomes more stew-like. And we're going to make it nice and creamy because we're going to add some little bit of cream. And I like to usually use half and half, but you can also use heavy cream if you like. But I'm just going to gently add it in there. And as you see that transformation that has happened, and I'm blending it around, just making sure that all the butter and the flour, our thickening agent, has went on and dissolved completely into our stew. All right, now it's time to go on and add in our final step of the cream, or either the half and half, and I'm using half and half today. You're going to blend that all around, and once I have that all nice and mixed, we're going to put the top on our pot and let it boil, reduce down, and thicken up a little bit more, okay? Well, let's see how we did, guys. Wow, look at that. Oh my gosh, it is just boiling so good. Oh, will you look at our chicken stew? Wow, this will warm your bones, warm you from the inside out. It is just a great comforting meal, just a nice bowl of this chicken stew. I'm going to taste it for flavor. Just a little bit more pepper. I'm going to also put in a little bit more of my kosher salt, and we're going to finish it off with our parsley as well. Our nice fresh cut up parsley that we cut up earlier. We're going to go on and finish it off with the parsley. And remember, you can also use dried parsley if you don't have fresh parsley. And let's go on and serve us up some. Well, this is it, guys. This is our chicken stew, our creamy chicken stew. Well, I hope you give this recipe a try, guys. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go on and hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video and appreciate the content, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share with a friend or a family. Well, remember, it is always good when Devon is cooking for the family. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.